All right. Well, I want to welcome you all here today to talk about the small business AI implementation playbook and trying to avoid the chaos. We say avoiding the chaos, but it's really we're trying to avoid the chaos. We're going to go through that today and kind of dive into stuff. We don't have a lot of preamble here. We are a managed service provider. We protect your people and profits from hackers. We're a team of solutionists that provide a really a comprehensive cyber first approach in really everything we do, including AI and just your day-to-day infrastructure. We have a team of 16. We're based out of Los Angeles, and we support around 150 clients. We like to say we make tech work, and communication is the foundation of everything that we do. I am the CTO. I've been here for about 10 years and have had a long career, probably it shows, in doing all kinds of cybersecurity stuff, as well as other kind of protection and compliance frameworks. I am no longer the chair of the GTI Cybersecurity Task Force. However, I'm an executive council member. And help advise GTIA on best practices for MSPs to secure themselves and their clients. I'm a trusted advisor to a whole slew of different types of businesses, and we work on making sure their cybersecurity and compliance is correct, that tech just kind of works the way it's supposed to, and that we are operating at everything that we need to do to make it simple for this technology to work. I happen to be a proud dad of a freshman high school baseball player who is all about baseball. And I have the privilege of getting to watch him every week play baseball, and it's a lot of fun and really enjoying that. So let's jump into our subject today. How many of you have heard this? AI is going to fix everything. It's going to take everyone's jobs. It's super smart and just there's not a whole lot to do. It's super easy to get done. If you're like me, you hear it all the time. The reality is far from that, right? Like most things that have massive promises, several times they do come up a little on the short side. So we call this the silver bullet paradox, right? Hey, if I just get this one piece of tech, this one piece of tooling, this one process or procedure, it's going to magically fix, all my marketing, my processes, and, drive down my staff costs. Look, if you're looking for a silver bullet, you're probably going to be disappointed with AI. It really does expose organizations' immaturity when it comes to process, procedure, and documentation. So we need an approach for that. We have to be pragmatic and really start thinking about where does AI plug in and what is exactly the right way to plug it in. And we're going to cover some of that today. So what does the data say right now? So right now we see a massive disconnect. 91% of small businesses report using AI to boost revenue. According to recent Salesforce data, that most are not really treating it, like part of their process. It's really a novelty item and doesn't really kind of dive into the kind of nitty gritty of what people are doing. It's helping with emails and, maybe it's doing some summarization, but it's not really getting to the heart of what needs to be, kind of automated. Only 15% of firms have integrated AI into their actual daily operations, right? That means 85% of your peers are basically paying for the idea of AI without really capturing that 20 plus hours of monthly productivity gains, which is a lot of the claim out there. Oh, you can get 20 hours back in your week or in your month if you just implement AI. And really the goal today isn't about the future. It's about stopping the someday talk, about identifying the specific workflows where your kind of processes and people aren't really kind of aligning and you're losing profit because of it. So I love this slide because I walk into places all the time and I say, so how are you guys using AI? Oh, we don't use AI. Nobody uses AI here. And then I go around to everybody's desk and, it's Claude's installed, been in the browser recently. We see ChatGPT all over the place. Maybe they're using a little Copilot here and there. If you think your company is not using AI, it's just because you haven't bought the tools for your company to use AI, you're wrong. You're probably 90% of small businesses have staff that is using unsanctioned AI tools. So you're already using AI. The issue is there's a massive compliance risk. Without a formal policy, and your proprietary data, as well as client PII, you're probably leaking that into public models, and they have access to that data in ways that is not healthy, right? It's not how you're protecting your client's data in general. You probably don't want some of these trade secrets in the wild and wind. And it's giving your competitors a leg up if they know how to search against your small business and look for those types of things in the training data. And we've seen that the training data from AI companies can be used to negatively affect how an AI operates and provide information that they really shouldn't be providing. So we really have to get to a point where this is, we used to call this shadow IT. Oh, hey, I went out and bought HubSpot, and I went out and bought this thing and this tool, and we plugged it all in and it's all working. We never had to call AI. We really want to get from that unmanaged kind of model to more of a governed implementation, right? If you don't have a policy, you don't have control of your data perimeter, and you need that, right? That's the only way to protect your client's data from the bad guys. So active AI users are twice as likely to see revenue growth. It's not a coincidence. It's really just an offloading of the mechanical parts of your job, right? We like to say that, there's an ROI to AI. Now, I will argue two things with this point. Yes, there is likely revenue growth because you're using AI. Twice, I'm gonna, maybe it's possible, but most companies are not sophisticated enough to measure what the ROI is for AI. Sure, they know the cost and they know maybe some of the time, so kind of reclaiming that strategic time back, but it's really hard to measure unless you're very clear on process, procedure, and your people, right? And this isn't really about replacing people. We hear this all the time. AI is coming for your job in 3 years. IT workers will be out of a job. There won't be any need for tax accountants. A whole host of things. The reality is a little further from that, right? We're not really trying to replace people. It's really about removing that 30% of the day that's spent on really low value tasks, stuff that really does not need someone that is sophisticated and trained and understands your business. It needs someone to push buttons, right? To follow a process. And that's where AI really kind of jumps in and helps out, right? If you were to take someone's day and just kind of map out, okay, what is everyone working on? You would see really, really quickly that a lot of tasks are menial, stuff that doesn't really have to be done by that person. It could be done by anybody. It's just that person has always done that, right? So it's a matter of kind of understanding what that procedure is. And when you stop acting like data entry clerks and they start acting like high value advisors, you'll have much better outcomes for both your clients and the staff that's working for you. AI is a force multiplier. I'm sure everyone has seen that. I like to say this: AI is a chaos multiplier. We kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the webinar. What we see is most small businesses, especially that are under 100 people, probably doesn't have an IT staff. Those folks really struggle with just standard documentation and procedures, right? They've have people that have worked there a long time. They know what they're doing. They just kind of do their job, and it doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't require a whole lot of nuance or anything else. It's stuff they've done for years and years and years, but they've never written it down. So if you were to get somebody else to try and do that job, you would find, oh, this is a lot harder than it looks, right? That this person goes into 6 different applications, they pull data from 5 places, they take that data, they collate it, they do some summarization, then they present that back in a report. And while that seems easy and straightforward, because it's never been documented, you kind of have a gap, right? You really have the shortcomings of really finding the right way to implement AI. So if your processes suck, AI will make them suck faster. And I love this quote. I use it all the time. It's not my quote. I don't know where it came from, but generally speaking, this is 100% true. If you've got your documentation and your documentation's not great, and your people kind of sort of know what they're doing and they've done it for a long time, but nobody's ever really written it down, that is a process that is probably not good for AI right now. You really need to understand it. Like 50% of small businesses fail to even start their AI journey because they just don't have documented workflows, right? So where do we start with this? It's not the AI. It's actually laying the foundation, writing documentation, understanding your processes, understanding where all the touch points are, understanding who is involved with those touch points, and then using AI to kind of automate it, not the other way around. AI is not going to fix your broken process. It will make it worse, I promise. So this is another place where we see a lot of people struggle, right? A lot of people will, they'll have Microsoft 365, they have Gusto, maybe they have CRM. They all have some version of AI features in it, right? And you're paying for it already in some cases. Now, Microsoft, that's an add-on license. There was some promotional stuff that made that easier to do and cheaper. Some people may be using it, but really never came up with a plan, so they're kind of using it half-heartedly. There's a couple of people that are doing it. So these are kind of zombie tools. These are tools that are unconfigured. They're not really monitored. They're really underutilized, and really one of the bigger expenses that we see in the kind of waste of AI, because we see a new tool pop up every week, and they're all really cool, and they all do really cool things. The reality is you probably can't use most of them. Again, because that foundation isn't laid, a lot of that AI stuff isn't really going to work until you build that foundation out, understand the process and procedure, and really kind of start to tackle it from a strategic standpoint, right? And there's this extra expense that you're kind of already paying for this stuff. How can you utilize it better? What can you utilize it for? So 11% of small businesses have adopted some AI-powered cyber defense, according to CrowdStrike, right? And what we see is that a lot of people aren't really classifying their data, and because they're not really classifying their data, they're probably letting people in or able to see more of that AI data than they really intend to. So data classification is something that we do. It can be done very simply. It does not have to be super complex. You think about the government, you got classified, top secret, CUI, like all these different terms for various types of classification. In small business, it's public, it's sensitive, it's classified, right? That's it. That's all you're really talking about. And classified in small business is really more like it's super internal, really shouldn't go anywhere else, really shouldn't be seen by anybody. That's that. Sensitive, I'm sorry. And the other place in classified is PII, right? Personally identifiable information, or health identifiable information, right? Those pieces of data shouldn't really be exposed to an AI. Those are internal pieces, and they should be kept on that classified side. So you really kind of have to build that fence. You kind of have to, work through making sure you understand your data. And that way, AI isn't going to run amok all over the data and potentially put that out in the world, right? That's really our first step in this governance journey around AI is, hey, know what your data is, know what it's about, and then make sure your team isn't able to accidentally put something out in the wild that you don't want or don't need. So how do you kind of start with this AI stuff, right? So I would say we want to stay away from AI first, right? We really want to look at small, safe bets, things that are really, really targeted, right? So we identified a process and we understand what that is. We then looked at how all those touch points interact. And then we started to look at, okay, well, where can we automate some of this stuff? And so we want to take those little small pieces and start to experiment with them. So we're going to start small. We're going to do something safe, and we're going to be strategic and targeted about it. So we're going to pick one documented workflow. We're going to set a 30-day clock. We're going to assign someone to review this, right? And make sure that this is working exactly the way we want. And then 100% have a strategic kill switch, something that lets us just turn the AI off so it can't continue to do things that we don't want it to, right? So it's really, really important that we start small and build from there. Not, hey, we're gonna do all of this all at once. Those projects are doomed to fail. It's really hard to document them, and most companies aren't really mature enough to take advantage of all of the kind of things that are available in that case. What you do when you build that small foundation and you kind of work through stuff, you really start to get to, hey, I've got the ability to automate this, and then you can say, okay, I got the ability to automate this one thing, and then I automated this other thing, and then I automated this third thing. And then you can start to look at, well, if I kind of do this thing in the middle, I can kind of join these together and I can make that a more robust process. But again, it takes those building blocks. It takes takes the small safe bet that we started with, and it really kind of builds upon it. And that kill switch is also super important. You have to understand, you have to know what it is. You have to know how to kind of stop the AI when, oh, crud, I didn't realize that this is just going to run over and over again and just email every client I have because I didn't think about the workflow properly, right? So what can you do? And everything that we're kind of documenting out here, we know internally any company can do this, right? It doesn't require someone like Strategic or another MSP to do these things for you. It doesn't require an AI expert. It doesn't really even require a internal person that's like super up on every piece of like how you do things. All of those things help, but this isn't something that you have to do with an expert. The first place to start is with your staff, your people, right? Talk to them and find out what they're actually using AI for and which tools are they using in that AI space. Maybe it's not even AI. Maybe it's like I said, HubSpot, and there's some automations in there. Maybe it's something as simple as Grammarly, right? Grammarly is a great product for just, going through and cleaning up your grammar. But that's an AI tool, right? It wasn't, and now it is. But initially, that's what it was built for, and that's what it continues to do. It has been refined and continues to work in that grammar area, but it also works for building new documents that are in your voice and things like that. So it could be something, along that tool line, from anywhere from really complex to super simple, straightforward, right? Then you want to identify one high frequency task, something that happens every day, every other day, once a week, but it's like clockwork, always happens. And you know what that task is, and you sit down and you document it. You just simply go through, what is the workflow? When does it happen? What are all the moving pieces? Write it down. then you can use the AI Readiness self-audit handout that we're going to provide to any of the attendees that'll show you exactly where your governance gaps are before you spend a dime on any AI type stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the handouts. So the handouts aren't just supplementary reading. These are really, tools that you can take action on, right? The AI Readiness self-audit is your diagnostic. It helps you kind of pinpoint your governance gaps, shows you where any shadow AI is already in your organization. And then the experiment framework is really that 30-day experiment template that provides, kind of a structured, low-risk approach to piloting AI, right? Really, kind of navigating the waters of AI. It's about making really small, safe bets and establishing clear guardrails, right? Guardrails are super, super important in this. And then also ensuring that you have that kill switch in place. You want innovation, but you want it to be controlled. You don't want it to go off the rails or go crazy or do stuff that you did not intend, right? So we want you to use these, kind of start your journey. They're really designed to kind of, simplify, not make it so overwhelming to kind of start to dive into this AI, world, right? And start to get you on a path, right? And whether you're using, whether you're just beginning this or you've already got some AI initiatives kind of in the works, these tools will kind of help, move you around where you need to go. So, again, we make your tech work. We keep your people protected and your profits secured. We're a cybersecurity first managed service provider. Relationships really matter to us, and we are a team of solutionists that can be your team of solutionists if you so choose. What we typically find is after we do these webinars is a bunch of people have questions and they aren't sure exactly how to get started and they need help. And look, again, all of this I think can be done internally. It does not require someone like me or an AI expert to kind of guide you through this. But if you want that help, if you need that help, we are here for that. We can help with those things. We do have some programs that are built for small businesses that can take you through this journey and make sure that your stuff is protected the way it should be. So I want to open it up quickly to any questions. You can pop those in chat, and then if chat isn't working, feel free to just drop them in the Q&A. And I'll wait a couple minutes because it normally takes everybody a couple minutes to get their keys and their fingers on their keyboard. All right, I don't see any questions coming in. So if you do have questions, feel free to email us at info@sirinc.com. We're happy to answer those anytime they come in. So where do you go from here? So you can definitely piece this together yourself. We see people do it all the time. And if that's the approach you want to take, by all means, go that direction. Or you can work with a team of professionals like ourselves or other MSPs that are out there that can do this. So what's your next step? If you really want to talk about the strategy of AI and how this might work for you, by all means, hit us up on this link here at webinar.sirinc.com and book a strategy session. It's also been provided in the chat. We're happy to have and get on and just take 15 minutes and talk through where you're at in your journey, what you're thinking about as far as AI goes, and where might it plug into your business. So it looks like a question came in. Do you need a paid subscription to an AI group to begin the process? So most people have, so there's a whole bunch of ways to answer that. The truth is that any of the free AI programs that are out there, so that's Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Manus, there's a whole slew of them, right? Any of the ones that you're using for free can use your data. So we tell everybody, always pay for it. If you're not paying for it, you're the product. So they're either learning off of you, they're harvesting data, and not nefariously necessarily, but they can, right? And they have more of an open architecture around those free public AIs than if they're paid for. So we always counsel everybody to pay for your AI. It's the easier way to deal with it. If you're talking about an AI group, someone like, there's AI agencies out there that will come in and they'll document all of your processes and then work AI into those processes. In general, those are all paid engagements. We don't see too many people where that's like free. And then there's the kind of the reverse of that, where somebody will come in and they'll say, hey, listen, we'll automate this process. We know it's going to save you X amount of time. And based on that savings, we're going to charge you X amount. And so it's called value pricing. And we see a lot of that in the AI industry, where someone will come in and they'll say, oh, this process costs you $50,000 a year to run. We're expecting you to pay us $20,000. So it's cheap, or it seems cheap. Those sometimes can be traps. Be careful of those kind of arrangements. They are lucrative for both the user of the AI and the company that's kind of building it out, but they are heavily weighted towards the company that's building them out. Does that answer your question?
I actually have a question while
other questions? Yeah.
So this is kind of just off the cuff, because I went to a doctor's appointment the other day, and for the first time in my life, my doctor asked me, do you mind if I use ChatGPT for our conversation?
Yeah.
For note taking. And I was kind of thrown, because I was like how does that impact, with like HIPAA and all these things? So
yeah.
The assumption is that he's paying for it, and that the data is.
So in the healthcare field, there are specialty AIs that are implemented for high secure kind of stuff like that. So I would be extraordinarily cautious about anybody using any kind of recording device and making sure that the right privacy controls are in place. Most doctors' offices are governed by HIPAA. How well they follow those governings is a different story, and a question that you should probably ask your healthcare provider. Hey, yes, you're recording this. Is it being recorded and managed by the HIPAA laws that are currently in place? If he says, I don't know, or I'm not sure, the answer to that question is no, I don't want you recording me, right? Because you don't know where your data is going to end up in that particular case.
Do you think that that's something that we're going to start seeing more and more in like those kind of fields, like in I guess classified or protected industries like healthcare and stuff? We're gonna see more and more AIs, which can increase risk, right?
For sure. I mean, so it does both, right? It increases risk, but there's also massive benefits to it, right? AI is very good at pattern recognition, so it understands patterns. So when you come in with a set of diagnoses and say, hey, these are all the things that are happening with me, the AI is pretty decent at saying, hey, look, these are the 10 top things that I can, based on all the medical data that's out there, these are the top 10 things. And they're generally medical AI is very specialty trained. So putting something into like ChatGPT about your, ailment or what's happening with you, you're going to get back a bunch of different stuff. Most of it,
WebMD.
Yeah,
you're dying.
Most of it is probably not going to be great. It will be okay. It might put you on the right path. Medical AI has specialty training. So they go in and they take medical texts and they add those to a database. They build a whole system around how to train on that and then use that data to formulate diagnosis and things like that. But look, let's face it. I don't know if anybody out there has read a doctor's prescription pad, but reading those is like, it's better than, or it's worse than Greek, right? Taking notes is an important kind of factor. I take notes by hand terribly. Having an AI kind of build that note taking in helps a ton. So it's definitely a trade-off, right? The fact is your doctor knows what you talked about last time, what was important to you and why. I feel like that's a good summary to have for the doctor, right? It probably has better health outcomes. but I want to make sure that data is protected, right? So it's really a balancing act and finding what works for both the provider and the data that's inherently from the person, right? And protecting that. Does that answer the question, Carly?
Yes, thank you. And it looks like you also answered
Matt's. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so. I think we're good. I want to thank everybody for coming. We really appreciate you jumping on and going through this with us. This is not the right link. This is the wrong link. So don't use this one. Use the other one that Carly dropped in the chat to book your strategy session. And we will make sure that we get back to you and schedule a time. Thank you again. Appreciate all the time. And we look forward to next month's webinar. We're going to be talking about some cybersecurity stuff next month. Have a great one, everyone. Bye.